Hello and welcome everyone to episode 20 of the Dirty Side of the Grid podcast, where we've turned up late to qualifying and we're starting on the dirty side of the grid because the kangaroos ate our equipment. I am Youssef and my co-host Mohamed is joining me. And as you can see, this is our first online episode, mainly because we couldn't really go into campus.
You couldn't be bothered,
Yeah,
man. That's fine. You didn't want to walk.
oh, okay. Comment down below what you think of this episode. Should we stick with this format? Should we stick with the room? I think this probably will make kind of, as we go into summer, we'll get a few more online episodes. We'll try and do like more of them in person. Anyways, back to the race. So this is the review of the Australian GP. And I'm not gonna lie, I slept through the race. So what are your thoughts on, let's start with this. What are your thoughts on the timing of the race? Like,
Yeah, okay. It's a good place to start. So, for context, Ramadan. So, I was also staying up for the race. Normally, I would have slept because 6 a.m. It's early, but it's really it's not that early though. Like you can wake up for 6 a.m. So normally I would have been able to, but I stayed up and then I ended up falling asleep about half an hour through it. So I went back and watched the rest of it. I'd say I've heard a few people say like, you could try adjust the timing. So with another race that we're going to get onto later, they've done a mad thing with the timing to adjust it. We'll get onto that in the news section, but like, I don't think they should move when it is, and I feel like 6 a.m. isn't really that bad. Like
but I feel like it's probably a bit like unreal. Like I think if you're in the US, it's fine. If you're in Australia or East Asia, it's fine. The only issue is for people in Europe, and the majority of fans of F1 are in Europe. That's the issue.
true.
But I think
But
in terms
even
of
though
6
you've
a.m.
got
isn't like
yeah,
that
it's
bad, but it's just like it's too early still. Like if it's 8 a.m., you can be like you can naturally wake up at 8 a.m. No one's gonna naturally wake up at 6 a.m. And to watch a race is like it's not even a good like let's be honest, Australia is not always like
there's the problem.
that interesting. Like
Yeah,
if you know it's like a really, really good race, like Saudi, you're gonna wake up no matter the time, like to watch it. But like it's Australian, man.
yeah.
Like we missed it the last few years and no one cared. That's the thing.
It's not like you're right. It's not really worth waking up for, sort of. But at the same time, I'm trying to be wary of complaining too much because I know there are Australians, Americans, or whoever it is who like there are people across the world who end up having like all of like the entire calendar is a horrific time for them, and we're here like the only two that are really off for us are um Australia's really early and then Japan's really early as well, and that's it. Like, those are the only two races in the entire calendar that are like
Vegas is
off.
gonna be very early as well.
So that's the one I was mentioning. Yeah. So if we want to, do you want to get into we'll get into like a bit of news first. So obviously we had a week off before this race come in. And within that week, we had Las Vegas announced for next year. That's the third race in the US. And the thing I was referencing was they're gonna do the race on a Saturday night so that the timing's better for people like across the world. So we still watch the race on a Sunday, but it actually happens on a Saturday. What do you think of that?
When is it gonna be in Europe? Like, is it gonna be like 6 a.m. as well?
I don't think it'll be that early. I don't think it'll be. It might be more like what's the time difference? Probably like 8, right? 8 hours.
Maybe is it what midnight there? Like when is it?
Yeah, something like that. Like it's really close to right at the end of the day on Saturday.
Interesting. See, I don't mind them doing it on Saturday, like very, very late. That's I don't mind that as much. Like my issue is more like the races in the US are too much now. Like
Yeah, that's the
the
follow-up question. Like, would you
yeah,
3 races
like
in the
we've
US?
got
What do you
way too
think?
many races in the US. I do understand the idea of like it's an untapped market and they want to make money and stuff. But I think like with Liberty Media coming in, you're seeing F1 essentially becoming more American in the sense that it's just about making profit. That's it. Like Stefano Domenicali was saying, "Oh, we can go to 30 races." What 30 races? Are you joking? People are complaining about 22 races. He's like, "Yeah, we'll just add 7 more." Like, what do you mean 7 more? Like, it's obviously it's very difficult for people working in F1. Like work-life balance was horrible before this. After this, it's just gonna be like no one wants to work in F1. Like you work for a few years and then never show up again, you know. Let's say I'm done, bye-bye. It's
Yeah,
it's
like
also very intense on the teams in terms of cost. Like you're saying cost caps and all of that, but you're like, okay, I need you to move everything quicker and more efficiently all over the world. Like it makes no sense. Like in that, I don't get that.
so would you have more of a problem with more races or more in the US specifically?
No, I don't mind. Like I have an issue with more in the US, but they added a race onto the calendar and put it in the US, so now we've got three. So they didn't really drop any races to add the US in.
No,
They
and
just
it's the
kind of
thing, they actually will. So like they're saying, I think France is at
that's
risk,
what I'm gonna say. That's my
somewhere
issue.
else is
If
at
they
risk, and I
drop
think Monaco is at risk as well, actually.
Monaco and where else?
I'm hearing Monaco is at risk. There's three, France, something else, and Monaco. Like that's the
I heard
rumor I keep
Silverstone
reading.
might be dropped. It was
I did
I
not
heard
hear that.
Silverstone or
I did not hear
Monza.
that. No, no.
Silverstone
See,
or
the thing
Monza.
is with those ones is the so the for context, the old tracks, uh, like those classic ones, they get very good deals because obviously F1 basically has to go to them. Like realistically, it's not an F1 calendar without Monaco, Monza, Spa, Silverstone. Those kind of tracks they have to stay on. So they don't sign like 20-year deals like you're seeing with Jeddah and places like that. They don't sign huge deals. They just sign a couple years every time. And the funds are like those tracks don't have a lot of money. But the ones in like Jeddah and stuff, because they're funded by the government and the oil money and all of this, they'll have loads so they can just get a 10-year contract. So like I don't think they're necessarily at risk, but they'll get signed on eventually. It's Monaco's the big one that's looking like it might not be because they get very like they don't have to pay that much to be on the calendar because it was like a mutual deal. Like F1
It's
needs
Monaco,
Monaco, Monaco
basically.
needs F1. Yeah, exactly. But now, because all these new fans, plus even most of the old fans as well, like everyone's kind of being put off Monaco a little bit. It's looking like they're going to be backed into a corner in terms of they don't have that like negotiating power anymore. So Monaco
I
could
think like
actually
with
go.
Monaco, I think with Monaco, I don't actually see Monaco going, to be honest. Mainly because F1 is known for kind of the glamour and like, the being kind of the it sport in that sense. And Monaco is literally the home of all of that. Like seeing like the race with the yachts there and like Kimi like getting off the racetrack and sitting on his yacht and watching the race. It's iconic, but it does actually add a lot of value, not necessarily in that sense, like it kind of adds to the image of Formula One. So I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
see
yeah.
like I see something like Silverstone going or Monza going before I actually see Monaco going in that sense. Um,
I don't know
I
about that,
obviously
but
don't
even
want them to go. I don't
yeah,
want them
yeah,
to go, let's be honest. Like I don't mind like obviously like the few ones you don't want to go are I don't care about Imola, but like Monza, Silverstone, Spa, those are the three you don't want to go. Everything else is kind of like you don't really care that much. Like if they go,
yeah. They get
no one
cycled in
cares.
every couple of years, but there are
But
certain
those
like
three, those three
strongholds in
have
the
been there
calendar.
for
So
so long, or those four, sorry, have been there for so long. You can't drop them. Uh, I
yeah.
don't mind the US
Also,
to be honest, but it's too much if you're gonna risk like because they want to take care of the new fans, but they're also putting at risk kind of all the old fans. Because if you remove Silverstone and Monza, like half of the fan, not even half of it, most of the fan base is just gonna be mad.
yeah, they will get mad. Like, here's the thing. Just quickly before we like move on like too far forward, what if Vegas became the new Monaco? Like, Vegas is known for its glamour as well. It's not quite Monaco, and obviously,
Mm.
like you said, F1's a lot more European centric. But Vegas is also like a very glamorous place, if you want to call it that. If the race turns out to be really good and it's a big success and they sell loads of tickets and you get like loads of American celebrities involved, I wouldn't be too like. Well, I would be really surprised, but like it could almost rival Monaco in that sense. Like, do you think it could get to
I
that point?
I get I get what you mean. Yeah, yeah. I think like obviously Silverstone, I don't see it to be honest dropping. Like I'd see them dropping others, but not Silver. Like I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like I don't see them dropping Silverstone mainly because half the media, not even half the media, all the media is British. Like half
Yeah,
of Formula One, or more than most of Formula One is British. Like it is
8 of the
it
teams are
is an
based like
international
within an
sport.
hour of Silverstone.
exactly, but the sport is like in that sense British in terms of pretty much all the teams are, except Ferrari is the only team that has no base in the UK. Every other team actually has a base in the UK. So if they drop like Silverstone, I don't see that happening at all. Uh, like, or if they do it, it will be like very controversial. Like, as in
Oh yeah, no,
like
yeah, that
very
really wouldn't go down.
controversial.
I don't think they could. To be fair, with the way
Monza's for
they're
sure.
going, maybe in a couple years they would actually get rid of it, but like they can't
Not
right
now,
now.
no, no.
Yeah, definitely not.
Monaco, you see, I actually think like if Vegas turns out to be like what you're saying, then it might actually they might drop it for Vegas. Like they might say, okay, we'll just put Vegas in where Monaco was. But then
Yeah,
the issue is like I was interested more in like them putting new tracks in like countries we don't go to, not put three in one country.
yeah.
I
Here's the
get the
thing.
US is huge and stuff, but they put like two races on the East Coast. Like you've got Miami and what's the other
So
one? Texas.
yeah, so when it got announced, there was like two camps on Twitter, like there always are. There was the people who said, "Nah, it's too many races in America now. Like, what are they doing? It's all getting Americanized. There's too many. We don't want to see that again. Why do they get three races? It's just one country." And then there was the other side that was saying, in Europe, all of the tracks are within like a couple hours. You could drive to quite a few of the tracks in like a day. But to go from Miami to Austin and then from Austin to Las Vegas, it's probably like, I don't know, whatever it was, like 11 hours each between each one or something like that. But then Spa and Hockenheim or Spa and even Silverstone, France, wherever you're going, like they'll be within a couple of hours of each other. The problem is with that, like, you can't base it on distance. You can't just say, like, oh, America's big, it deserves loads of tracks. Because Africa's massive, Australia's also huge. You're not going to shove like another 10 on them and then have two
We
European
don't
races.
have any in Africa as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the problem is, I'd want the, I get America's big and there's loads of different cultures or whatever between the different bits, but like, the culture difference between Miami and Las Vegas isn't quite as different as you say just going to keeping one in Austin and then going to somewhere in North like Morocco and South Africa. Do you know what I mean? Like there's
I
just
get, yeah, I get if they ditch Texas, to be honest. Like I get the Miami
wow,
race.
no,
I
I
get
like
why they want to
Texas.
do a Vegas race. Like those two I get because they're kind of like when you think when you think F1, you think like something like Miami, you think something like Vegas. You don't really think Texas, like it just does not come to mind. So if they
I
add
guess
like
so.
I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years you start to see like one and say like California, like LA or like that would fit in
Right, if
well
NA went on the
with what
calendar
they're
as well, I
trying.
would actually cry.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
want to
what
see
but
that.
that's what they want to go for, isn't it? But I think like with the rest of like these seven races, like they need to put in like we need a race in Africa. We need one in like Morocco. South Africa has to come back. I get like with
Bro, we
South
need one in
Africa there
like
is a bit
Vietnam.
of
Like what
issue
happened to
with the
Vietnam?
safety. Vietnam
Yeah,
as well.
that's
Yeah,
you're right. No, the
Russia's
problem they're
dead.
having with the problem they're
South
having with
America as well.
yeah, see, that's the thing. Like a lot of these countries, like in South America and Africa, they say they do want to go to them. It's just the problem is they want like a stable uh, government and all of that stuff because they don't just want to pile money into wherever it is and then go there and then there's like
Brother, go to
an
Saudi, man.
uprising or whatever. That's also a
You're gonna
very
get
good point.
arrested for
That's
saying
also a
this.
very good
Mexico isn't the safest place in the world, and yet we've gone to Mexico for so many years, and there hasn't been any incident. So I don't see the reason why we can't go to Morocco, we can't go South Africa. We've been to these like Morocco and South Africa. We had races there before. So like it's just about. I guess it's also about like the countries willing to invest in it. Like India, why aren't we going to India again?
yeah, bro. Oh yeah, India was good on the calendar. I don't think the race was that entertaining, but the track looks sick. Like it's a very nice looking track.
No, the race wasn't entertaining. That's a different part. But I'm talking about like if you want to get more fans in, then you want to make it a more global event.
Yeah, definitely.
You have the European race season because that's where most of the money comes in from. It's Europe. But then you have like a few races in the US. Fair enough, you're gonna have three races in the US. Uh, you're gonna have like you need like at least one more in South
Yeah,
America, one or two in Africa, a few more in Southeast Asia, like
you want it to be global. Like the thing is, I love the fact that like you
one
think of
in
like Singapore.
Antarctica.
You think of like Singapore, right? Like that's just it's such a sick place. And if anyone wants a reason to travel to Singapore, the perfect time would be go to see the race. Like it's just a perfect example of like F1 just going to a different country and then showcasing how incredible it is to go to. Like sort of what Saudi's trying to do now, like and Qatar as well with like the tourism stuff. Like you
Yeah,
showcase your country being like a great place to visit. You put on a sick event, and then everyone's like, "Oh, I wouldn't have considered going to, Singapore was on my list of places to go, but now it's like because of the race, I really want to go there." You go see it, you have a good time, and then you come back, and it's like, you're exploring the world rather than, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to Boston, Florida, and
US,
whatever. Like I
US, US.
understand, I understand for fans near that area, you want to have a local place near you. Like obviously, if we wanted to drive to Silverstone, we could. The ticket prices are a different conversation, but it's nearby. But for them, I know we need like races near where fans are, but also it's nice to like tap into different areas of the world, like go somewhere interesting. Don't just shove it in like a big city, because we've all heard of these big cities, and most of the people who can afford to go to a race would have probably been to these cities anyway. Like, go somewhere new, like open more doors. Like there's a lot of
See, that's
potential.
why I'm a bit against like now all the new tracks are gonna be like street tracks. Like they wanna get rid of Silverstone and have like a street track in London. They wanna, but my issue with like it's exactly the same point you're saying. Like if you have a street track, it's just the middle of the city, which we've all kind of seen before. But when you have like something in the countryside, it adds more depth to it. Like, do you get what I mean? It's exactly
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
saying.
Exactly. So
I really like Brazil. I think something in like South America, like Argentina would be an amazing race. Like I really want to see that. South Africa, Morocco. I think Morocco would be a sick race, like
that's
honestly.
what bro. I just came up with Morocco off the top of my head, but like the more I think
But
about it, the
Morocco,
more I'd love a
Morocco,
race in Morocco.
exactly is because like it's very different. Like the culture in Morocco is very different to all the Arab countries you go to. And so you go there, it'd just be like that would just be on its own be incredible. Like I
Even
actually
Egypt, or Egypt should host a race, man. Why aren't they doing that?
yeah, sure. Just one around the pyramids, yeah. Just like you just go in circles around the pyramids. To be fair,
The
to
way
be
they're
fair,
designing
they
these
do
tracks,
host.
Tilke would fully just draw a line in the sand around the pyramids, and that'll be it.
Yeah, to be fair, they do host like Egypt do host like a squash tournament, and it's like those glass courts, and the
Yeah,
court is literally right in front of the pyramids. So like the players are playing, and the backdrop is literally like the pyramids. Obviously, that's a lot
that's
easier
so
because you
cool.
can put a glass court every. Like squash is probably like I think the best sport in that sense because they have one in Grand Central Station, they have one in Hong Kong looking over, or they used to at least, looking over the whole city. One looking over the pyramids. They have like squash because they can put like a glass court anywhere essentially.
Yeah,
They're so lucky in that sense. They have like some mad places they go to. It's very, very impressive. That's what we want from F1. We want like not like even if it's like the race is not going to be the most entertaining, you want kind of a show around the country. You get to experience like the different cultures
yeah,
and
and
stuff.
not just like Big Ben in the background. Like we want to see culture, we want to see different things. So
I think that's why
I guess
India would be very interesting because it's such a kind of like we've been there before. It came off the like I think India probably won't see for the next few years mainly because the government invested quite a lot of money in the track, and then the track was scrapped. It's not on the calendar anymore. Obviously, it's very expensive to get on now, so it
yeah,
would require a lot of investment to come in. That's probably why they're going to keep going to the US and Europe because there is that hunger and money to pay for it and there is like consumption for it essentially. Whereas if you say I go India or I go Morocco or wherever, you require so much capital to build up the race. I think India spent like 500 million on the track, some weird number like that, huge, huge number. And and they never reaped the reward because people weren't buying the tickets. That's why they stopped going to India because there wasn't any demand for the tickets.
I guess now they've got to try again because the thing is F1's much better at marketing now, and there's a billion people in India. Like to not be able to sell tickets, that's just embarrassing. Like it's a big event. It's the only type of like the only event of that kind once a year in that country, and there's a billion people to sell tickets to, and you haven't even managed to do that. Like
I think
realistically,
it
at
was
that point, you're
because
doing something wrong.
Bernie didn't wasn't really convinced by India.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like now they can market better. They can try and tap into these new places. So Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we get onto the race?
Yeah, let's get on to race. The timing is horrible,
Wait,
but like, yeah, it's good. It's good. I would be interested to see one in like New Zealand, perhaps.
maybe, yeah. I've heard it's a nice place.
Mm.
New Zealand track
Whereas
racing.
Macau would be interesting as well. I like how we came back onto this.
Yeah, bro, come on, man. Let's get into the race.
I'm thinking of like places where you want to go to see like a very, very nice track.
Leave comments
Uh,
of like random tracks you want to see races at.
yeah,
Like, I just want to
or
see
if you don't
countries.
know a
And
track, just list like a
just name a
country where
country.
you really
Yeah.
want to. Like because like you've got like loads in Africa, like Kenya would be nice, like having a race, or Mauritius,
Yeah.
like having something right on the sea there would be like insane. But see, we come back to the last point, which is like funding essentially for this. But then F1 could make it easier for newer countries to come in instead of requiring like so much money to come in. But anyways, moving on.
Yeah. Pricing is different.
So race.
Yes. Oh, wait, I'm doing the. Do you
You're
want to get
waiting for
your
me, like,
phone out, bro? Yeah, I'm waiting for you to lead it because I have to. Am I actually doing
oh,
the.
you're doing okay. So
Yeah.
we decided last time that Mohammed's gonna do the 60-second thing, which is 60-second race review, which is good because I slept through the race today.
I've
So
got to get rid of my
I
notes.
don't really know a lot about what happened in the race. So let's start. Okay. When you're ready, say go and I'll
Wait, no, you give me a countdown, then I'll try to
okay.
start.
3, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so loads of people going off in the final sector in practice. We saw that in qualifying and the race. Just in general, I think it's because the tires were getting hot by the end of the lap. Whatever it was, people were struggling with it all weekend. Qualifying, Sainz got very unlucky actually. He was literally just about to cross the line and then the red flag came out, so he lost his lap. And then when he tried to have a final run, I think he made a mistake in the first sector, so he ended up starting ninth. Albon got disqualified because he couldn't provide a fuel sample, kind of like how Vettel couldn't in Hungary last year. Stroll got penalty for an incident with Latifi. We'll discuss who's at fault for that later. And then who got pole? Leclerc got pole. Verstappen was a bit off. I think he was complaining about the balance of the car or something. And then in the race, Leclerc takes off, safety car restarts and all of that stuff. He still manages to get ahead. Lewis and George got lucky with the safety car. Quite a few people did that. Albon got points after pitting on the last lap. And okay, what? How much is that?
You went over a bit. Went over a bit. It's a minute and you still haven't discussed like half of the stuff that happened in the race.
Bro, shut man, you didn't even watch it. So you cut me off at a minute there. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I got you for a minute.
Bro. Okay, I probably would have gone over by like a
You
little bit.
spend a bit too much
Fine.
time on like practice. See, I'm the master, bro. You should learn from me.
And you should have watched the
You
race.
can't even deny
We'll
that
see.
because
We'll
I'm
see.
actually
We'll see
very
next
good.
time. Yeah. We'll see you next time.
I'm very good at this, so
You went 20
you can't
seconds
even
over last
deny
time.
it.
To be
Yeah,
fair,
because you
the
didn't like
worst part is the
you didn't
worst
kill me.
part is yeah, no, I'm kind of annoyed because I watched it back and you were like about to stop on exactly a minute and then you just carried on because I didn't say anything. So you probably would have stopped in a minute. We'll see. Next time I won't stop
Exactly.
you and we'll see what happens. No, next week we'll see what happens before the next race.
I'll time myself then. I'll get my phone, I'll time myself.
Okay, so starting with qualifying, what did we have? So yeah, so Latifi and Stroll crashed. Stroll was trying to let Latifi pass. No, Latifi got out of the way for Stroll because he was trying to let someone pass, and then decided, no, you know what, I'm gonna go back past again because turns out Stroll was on a slow lap. He tries to dive through on him. Stroll turns in because, as we discussed last week, he doesn't look in his mirrors, and then they crash into each other. Did you, anyone you think who's at fault for that? Because someone did get a penalty.
I know Stroll got a penalty for it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so Stroll got
Obviously,
the.
because King Latifi is never at fault. And I've seen a few people
Always
have
think.
commented on our last few videos, and they understood King Latifi. So yes,
No,
he's
they
the king,
didn't. It's
bro.
just okay. Yeah, I made a mistake in last week or in the last one. It was actually Latifi trying to make the move on Stroll, not Albon. My point still stands. I still thought it was Stroll's fault anyway, but I just used the wrong name at that point. Anyway, this time, honestly, I'd actually put the blame on Latifi. Like, as much as Stroll isn't looking in his mirrors, and it was kind of dumb for him, I think the penalty's a bit harsh. Like, I feel like Latifi shouldn't be like, you let him pass, and then you dive past him straight after. It's just stupid. Like, be a bit patient. If you just let him
He's in
pass, you've
race
got the
mode.
entire rest of the.
Because he's in a Williams, so the only time he's racing is when a car is going slow on a slow. That's the only time he's actually racing with someone. I just want to get like the have a look at it.
No, honestly, I feel
But
like
yeah,
it's. I think personally for me, it's Latifi is more to blame, but I'd go with like a racing incident at the end of the day. Like it was a misunderstanding from both of them, and it wasn't great. But to give Stroll a penalty for that, as much as he should be more aware in his car, that's like you wouldn't expect him to slow down and then just dive back at you again. Like it's, I feel like it's
I
more
think
Latifi's fault.
even what's his name was saying, like Stroll was saying, you know, like they're doing, the stewards are doing some funny things this week.
We
I
will
can't
actually
speak
get onto
today.
that, yeah, because there were actually quite a few decisions that I thought were kind of weird, and a lot of them were actually to do with Stroll. So we'll have a look at that.
Is it?
After that,
I'm
bro,
just
did you
having a
see?
look at like at the incident. So he lets him pass, and then Latifi's like, but to be fair, he goes very slowly. Like I actually think it's Stroll at fault there because he goes very
Wow,
slowly,
no.
and Latifi comes back. He's not even dive bombing. He's just going past him, and then Stroll just comes like, wee. Where are you
Yeah, no,
going,
but
bro?
he's
Go
like,
straight.
he was trying to get out of the way for
What
someone
did he
else.
get?
There was an Alfa Romeo behind. He was trying to get out of the way for him as well. He got 3
Did he
places, I think.
get? Was it a three? Yeah, I think
Grid
that's too harsh.
penalty.
Like I wouldn't give him a 3-place grid penalty. Like maybe one. 3 is too much, I think. But then he's in an Aston Martin, so it doesn't make any difference. He's starting
True.
last
Yeah, we'll
anyways.
get onto. Well, speaking of, we're going to the other end of the grid. Alonso has now joined the list of drivers who has almost had a legendary qualifying lap, and everyone's going to go on about it for the next 2 years about how it was almost the greatest qualifying lap of all time. He went purple. He was probably, I think he was like 2 or 3 tenths up on the pole time at the time, because it would have been for a provisional pole, and then he binned it in the corner I was actually on about in the 60-second summary. Like, do you think he could have actually got pole? Because they would have had to do a second set of runs.
It would have been interesting to see like how far off he would have been.
I think he
Probably
was like,
not, but
bro, he was like 3 tenths up into the final sector, like 2, 3 tenths
is
up.
it
Yes.
interesting? I don't know what their final sector was like Alpine, because he might have lost a bit of time there.
Yeah.
But like if he's that, he might have held on to pole. That would have been cool to see, like Alonso starting P1 pole position and back. You know, like Arnold
Right. Oh,
saying
we
like
can fight. We can
back.
fight. That's what he says. He says we can fight, and
Yeah.
then he just doesn't go anywhere. I
But I
feel
think
like
that's
I don't
also
think he
like
would have got it. I feel like he would have ended up like maybe even second or third, but probably third to be honest. But pole, I feel like it's a bit out of
like if
reach.
someone's gonna overtake him, it's gonna be like Max and Charles probably.
Yeah, most
Realistically
likely.
speaking. The other guys are a bit kind of far behind. But yeah, interesting.
Another
You
good.
want to talk about the Sebastian incident?
I mean, I was gonna sure if you want to.
You have to talk about what happened to Sebastian. I'm talking about like what happened at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll mention it's another awkward stewarding decision. Do you want to go through the chain of events?
No, it's okay. You can do it. You can do it.
Right. I mean, there's not much to it. Basically, Sebastian crashed. He ended up taking a scooter instead of hopping on the back like we normally see them doing, and they'll go on the moped and go around the exit roads. He asked to drive it himself and then drove it on the track and then waved at the fans and all of this as he's going past like a little parade for himself, and then ended up getting like a €5,000 fine or something for it.
You know, the funniest thing is, I saw this picture. The reason I brought this up is I saw a picture basically of him doing that, and it's him basically going purple, purple, and he's still in the moped. He's ahead of Lewis.
Okay.
I just thought you'd want to see that. You know, you went from laughing and so excited to just being like,
Wait, I've just looked up on Twitter. Yeah, I've just found someone doing it in like a game version, but he's in a tuk-tuk and he's doing a lap online. This is a sick video. I'll share the link to the tweet in the description of the YouTube video. It's a good video. Yeah, that's another awkward stewarding decision. What I was going to get onto was McLaren in qualifying and in the race. To be fair, like
Impressive.
Norris
Very
qualified
impressive.
fourth. That's insane. After they were like last or something in the first race.
Ahead of the two Mercedes, yeah.
Do you think this now shows that like the way they were last and now they're qualifying fourth now, finishing what was it, fifth and sixth in the
Fifth
race?
and yeah.
Like, does that show now that like if you just fix your car's issues, whatever it is, understand the car, there's big gains to be had. You're not just gaining like a little bit on everyone. They've literally jumped the entire field or the entire midfield.
Yeah, that's
in
interesting.
2 races.
It could be the sense like our comments on Mercedes are, but I don't see Mercedes gaining that much in this. But it is impressive because their issue was obvious, wasn't it? They had like brake issues and they couldn't develop anything. Like it's not they couldn't develop, they couldn't actually apply any of their upgrades before they fixed the brake issue. They fixed the brake issue going into last week, I think, quite late. They didn't really have a chance to apply the upgrades. And I think now they came with a bit of upgrades. And we knew McLaren had a very solid car and they were very quick at where was it? Barcelona. But going into Bahrain with Daniel getting COVID and then the issue with the brakes and them not actually being able to run the whole race distance in practice. It just showed that like basically these past 2 races, they binned it. They're like, we're not gonna get any points here. We don't care. We're just gonna use it as 2 extended like not practice session, but like testing sessions essentially. And it shows they've done very well. I'm very happy for McLaren. It's nice to see them up the grid. Not at the very end. It's just that was very depressing. But yeah, it's impressive that like the turnover rate, like I think what people don't realize is the first like year, so this season and probably next season, the turnover rate for parts is actually going to be very high. Because people are going to be like the development rate is just like every week you're going to be seeing like someone coming with new parts, which is not the case last year.
Like, so I heard this, I think it was in Ted's notebook. He might have mentioned the McLaren. It might have been Andreas Seidel who said this. Someone said it, where he mentioned because of the budget cap, rather than just throwing your resources at anything and everything, you develop something that will give you like a big advantage rather than a bunch of small upgrades, and then put like the resources in that, so you know you're allocating your money into the right place. Because before, obviously, someone like Ferrari could just throw their money at any problem and then just wait to find the right solution. But now you've got to like fully know that this is the right answer to your problems, and then go forward and put it in. So you're right with the development curve. Actually, I have like an analogy for it, because like if you imagine the development curve thing that we're talking about is like if you imagine Youssef running a marathon, right? He might do it in however many hours. And then if he does another one, he'll be like maybe a whole 10 minutes faster or something, like a big gap. And then he'll start training and he'll do more and more and more. And then he keeps going until, you know, maybe he runs 5 marathons and he's only like 30 seconds faster each time. If I ask Mo Farah to do the same thing. Exactly, yeah. If I ask Mo Farah to do the same thing, because he's already at the peak of his body or fitness or whatever it is, he's only going to gain, like he's going to hit almost the same time every time. So we're at the bottom right now, and they're developing their cars so they get to the pinnacle. They're not they're at the very beginning now, and they're going to make big gains until it slowly eases off. So that's why we're seeing McLaren jumping from, you know, the bottom to the top very quickly. And I feel like do you reckon another team could manage to do it? Like Aston Martin's at the bottom right now. Do you reckon in like a few races time or whatever, they might just discover something and end up like 5th?
I'm not sure, because with McLaren we knew or at least the team knew like we had this issue, and once we fix this issue we have a very good car that can go on and do very well. Mercedes still have the same belief that once we fix their issue is the bouncing. Once they fix like the bouncing, we've got like a lot of time to gain. So that's also like the teams know that. Aston Martin is the sense where I don't think even they know their true pace. Is this their true pace, or do they have a lot in the car? So it'll be interesting to see. But their car is a kind of something down the alley of Ferrari. So it could Ferrari be also like they're affected by their Mercedes engines.
True, yeah, that's true. And Ferrari as well, they're still bouncing as well. like going into the corners and stuff, they'll still bounce. So maybe there's still potential for them in there. Like they might end up
Yeah, I
finding
think
a lot more pace in their car.
with the bouncing, it's the sense of, or the case really of a balance between trying to get as much kind of grip as possible while trying downforce as possible, while not trying to kind of get, like, it's a trade-off essentially, not trying not to get the bouncing. And it can be the case where you can probably accept, I think we're not gonna get rid of the bouncing fully, but it would be the case where, okay, it's acceptable to have a bit of bouncing, say at this part of the track where it's
Oh,
facing
okay,
a
yeah.
bit higher downforce, because we're actually, the time we're losing is smaller than, it's kind of be a similar thing where you get with like low versus high downforce setups, where you know, like in this sector we're losing a bit of time, but if we run a higher downforce we gain more time in like the sector 2 compared to like sector 1 and 3, for instance. So
Yeah.
it'd be a sense, I think that would be like another trade-off where you have to say how much downforce are you going to run in that sense, like how much bouncing
Yeah,
can you accept.
I see
I
that.
think there is a danger though, like the reason ground force was stopped a few years back, by a few years I mean like in the 70s or 80s when it started,
Yes,
was
you're
it
so
was
old.
very dangerous. It was very dangerous. And like, can we see this again? Can we see like very big crashes because of ground effect?
True,
Perhaps.
yeah.
It's
Because the
very
thing is,
dangerous
like,
even for the drivers. Like you see it when they're driving, they're just like, you can't actually see. Like they can't see very well over their car because of the bouncing.
and even then,
So
like,
that could be
aside
something
from
else.
that, like, not just like the porpoising as well, and the I don't know how they deal with that stuff, like breaking into corners, blind apexes, and all of this. Bigger tires as well, so they see even less. And then plus on top of the big tires, they have the little like arch things on top of them as well, like the wheel caps. They The thing is with ground effect is if you imagine like the skirts on the 80s cars, if those break, the air isn't trapped under the car anymore. And if the air isn't trapped under the car anymore, you lose all your downforce like that. So like you're saying with the problem with developing or having all of your aero based on just a bit under the car, a little bit, you go over the curb a bit too much or whatever it is, maybe you somehow damage your floor, that's a lot of your downforce gone. And now you go into the next corner with half as much downforce as you did before. Or maybe even
And
if
then you're gonna crash because you're gonna send it a lot quicker than you
exactly, yeah,
should,
because you have
basically.
no idea. Like maybe even if someone crashes into the side of someone else, but like it's a light tap or whatever it is, however it happens, the way the floor is like running along the side of the ground now and how low down it is, you snap off a bit of that, you open up the gap so the air can escape, you're losing a lot of downforce there. Like it there is a lot of potential for it to be quite dangerous there. If like I'm not saying this is going to be like a common occurrence, but like if not the right situation happens, almost the wrong situation. If you end up in the wrong situation and these kind of things fall into place, there could be a very big accident.
Yeah, I think that's the reason it was scrapped. There was a very, very big accident, and I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember someone got very injured, or I, I don't want to say
But yeah,
dead. I
the
don't want to
problem
say
was
suffer.
F1's the cornering
Safety
speeds they were
essentially.
reaching. Yeah, the cornering speeds they were reaching with ground effect was just too much for them to handle. Like they didn't have enough safety to be able to deal with how fast they were going. So the idea was that now
Perhaps,
we do have enough safety for it, but like how much is enough safety? That's the real question. Like, how do you know?
yeah. I think it's maybe not as much safety as it is like having the equipment to actually cope with the speeds, in terms of the brakes, in terms of the tires, in terms
Yeah,
of like the car being able to cope with like braking from 300 kilometers an hour, say, like in like say like 60 meters or 100 meters. That might not have been the case, where they could have like we know they could have gone very quickly. The issue was, can he stop? So now
yeah,
we have obviously like the brake technology has advanced a lot in that time, and like tires as well and stuff. So it can be the sense where it is safer now, but I think there is potential for a very, very big crash.
yeah. Well, I mean, actually, while we're doing this, we'll stick on the topic of the stewarding stuff. Uh, Actually, we'll go with this one. Yeah. Oh, there's a few racing stuff that will mention the stewarding incidents, but this one regarding safety, I saw on Ted's notebook, and a few people, because I follow a lot of Lewis fans, they're quoting this. Uh, the FIA are trying to reinforce a rule that was already there, where you have to wear like this. They're getting rid of like cotton underpants or something that the drivers wear. I think it's because it's meant to be a fire hazard, and they're also getting rid of. They're telling the drivers they can't wear like their little like metal chains. Like some of them will wear crosses. I know Lewis is one of them. I think there's a few others as well. They'll wear like a cross necklace or something because they're Christian. You're not supposed to wear them anymore, and earrings as well. Like any nose piercings, ear piercings, or whatever, they're going to tell them like you can't do that. So Lewis was asked
No,
about
no
this.
jewelry, basically.
Yeah, and Lewis was asked about this, and the quote was something like it's welded into his ear. So like the way you take it off is, he said you'd fully have to cut his ear off. So he said it's staying. And apparently they mentioned this on Thursday, and they just haven't done anything since. So they've gone, oh, okay, we're reinforcing this rule. Like, make sure we're going to be checking. I'm still seeing Lewis with his piercings, and like they haven't done anything. So it's just embarrassing.
Yeah,
I think they've just kind
I
of.
heard about Lewis and Verstappen joking about this. Did you see that?
No, I haven't. I'll have to look at that. What was it?
Continue. I'll just get the quotes up, just because you're gonna
So
say
like,
something.
I don't know. I feel like the problem with that is like, I don't know. If you tell your if you tell your kid, yeah, like no more sweets, like this is your last biscuit, you're having this one, that's it. And then I don't know, she asks for another one, and then you say, all right, fine, whatever, and then give her another one. You've just lost your authority. Like that's what they've done. They've gone and said like, listen, we're reinforcing this rule. Make sure. And Lewis is just going, well, I don't care. And then I don't know about the other drivers. And nothing's happened. Like you can't say you're going to reinforce the rule and then go out and back off afterwards. It's just a little
It's
bit
just
like
proving the
embarrass
FIA is a
yourself there, to
joke.
be honest. I mean, it gets worse. It gets worse. So they did a similar thing with the safety car restarts. As we've seen recently, Max will go up alongside the car in front
Oh
of
yeah,
him
they
to kind
stopped
of
that. Yeah.
intimidate them or whatever. This rule was always in place, preventing this. The rule is, it states that the lead car becomes effectively the safety car. And are you allowed to go up alongside the safety car? No. None of the drivers have ever in my life have I seen a driver going alongside the safety car and telling it to hurry up. They tell them to hurry up on the radio, not like going alongside it. But for some reason, it's okay for Max to do
They
that or
stopped
something.
right before it. They stopped right before it, but they don't go like side
But you
by
don't go
side.
along. Exactly. So it's dangerous in a lot of ways. It also ruins their opportunity to warm up their tires. It also means that they can't dictate the pace anymore. Because what if they want to get Max away from their side? They'll speed up. But if they speed up too much, the safety car won't have enough time to get into the pit lane. Because the whole reason they slow down is so that the safety car can go into the pit lane and get out of the way. So if Max is doing that, they can't, dictate the pace anymore. They slow down a bit too much. He might overtake them, whatever. It just causes a lot of problems. I saw a tweet. It was interesting. Lewis was dealing with that all year. Max just kind of harassing him on safety car restarts. Max does it to a Ferrari once, and they've switched the rules. They've changed it instantly. I'm not saying that's the reason they've done it, but with these new, like, I don't know. There's just a lot of rules in the regulations.
I think this face is all you need to say. So.
There's a lot of
Emoji.
rules in the regulations that they just don't implement. Like the overtaking one, when Max overtook Lewis under the safety car in Abu Dhabi. Obviously, it was only momentarily, but technically he overtook him, and technically that's against the regulation. I'm not saying that should have been what lost him the championship, but no fines, no
10
nothing. It wasn't
second
even
penalty. That's what
investigated.
you want.
It wasn't even investigated. Like that's the kind of thing you'd hand out maybe a fine for or something, but they have loads of rules in there that they're just very lenient with. Same with Max touching the rear wing. He got a 50k fine for that, but like people were posting very understandably, Vettel's been doing that for years and he never gets anything. So there's just certain rules they just don't bother to check, which I don't know, maybe the rules do need a bit of a look through just to make sure that they actually say, like, listen, these are the rules and we're following them,
You
rather
know the
than
rules.
little hidden ones. Yeah.
I
I
think
don't
the
know.
book is too big for even the stewards to know everything. In that sense. Like they won't have a look at this stuff because the teams didn't complain about it. I think if the teams complain about it,
Yeah.
they will look at it. But if the teams don't complain, I'm not gonna go investigate like such small stuff. So basically Max and Lewis had the press conference together this week. And they were talking about the whole jewelry thing, and Max was like, I would be too heavy if I wore jewelry, so it's not possible, you know. And Lewis answered, he's like, I know you have a nipple piercing, man, come on. And Max was like, You want to see it again?
Oh wait, I think I did see this. Yeah,
That was
love that.
very funny. Like it's yeah, that was good. Do you see Bottas lost his 103 consecutive run in Q3 has
He
ended
did.
essentially.
Yeah, it's
That
unfortunate. And
was
actually,
depressing.
about Bottas as well. But this is another thing. So with the stewards, Bottas got forced off the track by Stroll, and they noted it and then didn't give him a penalty. That's so like he fully forced him off the track. Bottas, not even like oh he's got his front wing alongside. He was fully alongside, like you couldn't tell who was ahead side by side, and he gets forced off the track and Stroll got nothing. Stroll got a penalty like literally maybe the lap before for weaving on the straight. Not kind of like how Max does it. It was a lot more dangerous than that. He moved twice under braking sort of thing. Uh,
Mm.
he did like the old
So
Verstappen
early
move, you know,
Max
when you
essentially.
wait. Yeah. So
Yes.
early Max, pretty much. So he got a penalty for that, but then didn't get a penalty for forcing him off the track, which is so inconsistent. He should have got a penalty for both. Like I don't know why they did that. The stewards just, I don't know. They were doing well, and everyone was, hyping them up and all of this, but I don't know. I've kind of lost confidence again,
I
more than
have
I already
I
had.
have a picture that I kind of have to show you at this point. Oh wait,
Bro, can
can
you
you
share
see?
your screen or something? What is this?
It's on my phone, so you can't actually see it. Hey,
Proceed,
hey.
unfortunate. Oh, I
It's
see
just
that.
a massive Lance head and a massive Latifi. Can we just talk? I think we need to take a moment to kind of talk about Albon and going from P20 to P10 in the race.
Oh, okay, yeah, we can do that now. Yeah, that.
I think you have to say, Williams is mightily impressive because there weren't like a lot, like it's not like half the grid retired and he got points. No, like I think only 2 cars retired, Sainz and Verstappen.
I think it was three. There was a third one.
Three. Okay, even with 3 cars out, he still went from P20 to P10, which
They're
is
stopping on the
very
last lap,
impressive.
which is so cool. Like that's so funny. That's the kind of stuff I do in the F1 game. Like you just fully waited until the very last lap, and then he either came out just ahead of Joe or behind him and then overtook him. But like he was running in P7 on tires that had lasted him the entire race. Like yeah, he's done very well there from last. You're right. Like
Yeah.
it's a very
I
impressive
think
track.
people were debating, should he have a C in F1? Does he deserve to be back in F1? All of that stuff. I think like if he like obviously the first 2 races he can't really say much because there wasn't much to say because he's in Williams at the back of the grid and all of that. But I think if he has these races, these types of races, like a few times throughout the season, then people will kind of be say like, okay, no, he deserves a C over Latifi. Like obviously he deserves a C over Latifi. Like Latifi's gonna go next year. Sad, like
Yeah,
the king is going, but still. But if he does this, then I think he's showing to people that he is a talented driver. He does deserve to be back in F1, and I'm very happy for him. Like it'll be funny to see
so yeah.
Tomo's reaction because he's like a massive
Oh, of course.
Albon fan, and he
Yeah,
was so sad when Albon left. Can we talk
I
about
think
how Russell is P2 in the championship?
we'll mention that, but also just quickly about Albon. I
Yeah.
think it would be like I just can't wait to see if he actually pushes his way back up the grid. Like, because now he's fully at
Yeah.
Williams, he's at the bottom, and sure he can lead Williams, but no one aspires to be the first driver in the last place team. You want to work your way up.
Yes.
So I wonder which teams will start giving him opportunities first if he actually ends up making his way up the grid, because I'm sure he could
It'd
end
be
up having a few
interesting.
options.
I think like probably like AlphaTauri is a big shot. Because he's still like he's supposed to cut his ties with Red Bull because he's going to a team that's basically like mini Mercedes. But his helmet says like a lot. I
Yeah,
think
he
in that
does
sense,
still
his
have. I
helmet.
think Red Bull really helped him get that seat, so he has a good relationship with Red Bull. I think.
Yeah, so I think like AlphaTauri, like if he proves himself, I think a year or 2 here. I don't think next year is gonna be like next year they have like Red Bull have quite a few drivers lined up from F2, and with kind of I think Gasly will probably be going. Tsunoda kind of having matured a bit. I think then you can see probably Liam Lawson, Drew Rivera. You've got like a few very talented drivers that can kind of step in. It depends on if Tsunoda steps up this year or not. Because if he doesn't step up this year, they're gonna have to stick with Gasly, but Gasly might want to leave. But
I
I think
think
Gasly is the sense
I think
Gasly stayed
Marco's.
because
Yeah, but I think Marco's confirmed now that Gasly's going at the end of the year, whatever happens, something like
Yeah,
that.
I know.
Unless he
That's what I'm
unless he
saying.
gets moved to Red Bull, I think it was, right? Like if he gets the opportunity to move to Red Bull, he'll move to Red Bull. But if Perez is doing a good job, which he is, they're not gonna drop Perez, and they're not gonna drop Max.
So
They're gonna go.
yeah, obviously Max isn't going anywhere. I think that the fact that he said it is just why he's saying that. But so he said that they're essentially looking between Perez and Gasly for next year. But I think that if they don't go with Perez, if Perez doesn't leave, I think probably Red Bull could go back on that if Tsunoda proves to be basically like last year, i.e. unreliable. Because they
Yeah,
can't.
I guess so.
I don't see them going with two very unexperienced drivers.
They
Maybe,
could do it
but
as a sister team, so like they could just shove two like juniors in there and
yeah.
see what happens.
But I think like
A
Franz,
risky choice.
is it Franz
Cost.
Tost would just be like, no, I want like at least give me one good driver and one like.
Yeah, true.
But if Gasly leaves, it could be a chance for, they could say, okay, Gasly, bye bye, and they can bring in Albon into AlphaTauri and a younger driver, because Albon has proved he has shown he can drive well when he's in an AlphaTauri. It's just the atmosphere at Red Bull that did not suit him. And it did not suit a lot of other drivers that stepped into that seat. So it could be just the atmosphere there.
Maybe. Shall we start with the top and then go down for like the top three? So like Ferrari,
Yeah.
then Red Bull, and
I just want to mention one fun fact is Leclerc has more points. Basically, Leclerc can lead the championship, like the constructors championship now, right now.
oh
So
yeah,
he has
yeah.
more points than Mercedes and Red Bull and basically every other team. I just find that like you
It's
have to
very
say it's
impressive. Yeah,
hilariously
he's
funny.
pretty. So yeah, let's go on with Leclerc actually. Also, leave in the comments as well if you're somehow still listening at this point. If we should bring back Youssef's completely unrelated fun fact of the weekend at the start of the podcast. Like not even like that was a fun fact related to the race, like completely unrelated from out of nowhere. So if you want
It's
to see us
basically,
bring
I
that
used
back,
to
you
mention
can.
a fun fact based on what I've kind of seen during the week, essentially,
I think
or
we should
during the
maybe.
day before.
All right, yeah. So Leclerc, dominant lead from start to finish. I know it's very early days, but does he have the potential to take it all the way and win the championship? Like, does he have it in him in
Yes.
terms of talent, consistency, all the rest of it? Because a lot of people actually were saying that he's overrated at the start of the year. So what do you think about that?
I think I was one of the people who said I stand by the
Wow.
fact that wait. There is I do say I stand by what I said in terms of I think he is a bit overrated before the start of the season. I think this season will prove if he is of the caliber of people like Max, and like like the best of this like this generation essentially.
I don't think he was
Does he have
overrated
the
though.
potential?
I really don't.
He has the potential. He has the like I can't say he doesn't have the potential, but is a lot of drivers have the potential but never go on to realize that potential for whatever reasons. So it'll be like we have to kind of see essentially will he be able to live up to the hype or not? That's essentially that's all I'm saying. That's why I
Yeah,
think
no,
he's overrated because
I
people
just
are
don't think he's
saying,
overrated
"Oh,
though. He's not.
he's like Max Verstappen." Bro, Max is a world champion. He's not. Like, there's a
They
difference.
both
Like,
have the
if you
same
win a
number of
championship,
legitimate
there's a difference.
championships. Bro. I understand. Okay, championships aside, Max's performance last year was very impressive. It's just I think Leclerc showed enough in 2019 to justify his hype. Like he hopped it. Like you've got to remember one season in that Sauber, which is Alfa Romeo now, and he hops into the Ferrari, and he's on pace with Vettel instantly. He went on. He almost won
He
his,
actually
was it
performs a bit
second
better
race.
than Vettel at races.
Exactly. Like that's what I'm saying. Like he should have won his second race if it wasn't for that engine failure or MGUK or whatever it was. He would have won his second race, third race, or something at Ferrari. He then went on to win Monza, and then he won Spa as well. I think it was Spa then Monza back to back. Like
Yeah, you have to say it
he
was
did
impressive the
very.
way he also defended Monza from Lewis. I will give him that.
Part of it was illegal, but yes, in general, it was very good. It was impressive from him.
Lewis fans are so bitter, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Uh,
I don't think he's underrated, overrated personally. I feel like this is what I was expecting from him. Like he's doing very well. He's calm. He's collected. We'll see how he goes at a proper street circuit soon. Hopefully he doesn't bin it into the wall or something. Maybe this is the year he actually wins Monaco as well. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
I
um,
highly doubt it, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. I highly doubt he's gonna win it.
Carlos Sainz's teammate, unlucky or just a bad driver?
Unlucky. He might just be having a bad weekend. Let's switch it that way.
He did have a horrendous weekend, but in general, he's just not been on pace so far.
True. But I think Carlos is more like, I think I said this last week. It takes him quite a while to kind of get into the rhythm of the car and kind of get into it. So we'll see. I think he'll get back up, because if you look back at last season, he wasn't like up with Leclerc at the beginning. Like actually at the beginning, Leclerc was quite a bit ahead, but as the season kind of went on, you saw him kind of really pick up the pace, and in the end, he came ahead of what's his name, uh, Leclerc. So I find impressive is that I think look over the course of the season and let's see kind of what he does
Yeah,
rather than
you're
just
right.
kind of now.
And he did have very. So I mentioned, like red flag came out just before his lap ended, mistake. Then he had the crash that caused his retirement, where he, just messed up slightly. There was a bit of a twitch mid corner, and then he ended up going over the grass and getting stuck in the gravel. A horrible weekend for him, very unlucky. But we're not just talking about, he was behind Leclerc and then he overtook him at the last race of the season to gain fifth or fourth in the championship. To get him at the end of the season would be to win the championship now. If we're talking about Ferrari being the fastest team now. So at what point is it too late for him to catch up? Because sure he can, Lewis Hamilton's done it a lot. Like he's a lot worse in the start of the season, but he picks it up and Lewis is insane in the second half of the season. At what point is it too late for Carlos to start building up that momentum? Because if you leave it too long, Leclerc will do what Rosberg did in 2016, win a bunch of races, build up the gap, and then even if Carlos has some like miraculous second half of the season, it just won't be enough.
I get what you mean. I think probably like mid-season. I think by mid-season, if Leclerc has built a comfortable gap, I don't see him coming back from it. Like even with the season being like as long as it is now, you can actually there is a chance of you coming back and like, but I don't see it, to be honest. Like I'm not gonna lie.
Does that include
If by
Max as well?
mid-season,
Does that, if by mid-season he has a big gap over Carlos, does that include big gap over Max as well? Like would Max
yeah,
be able to
I think
overcome the
if
deficit?
he has a comfortable lead, I think he probably will be able to hold it to the end of the season. But it'd be interesting to see kind of what happens. I think this is the one good thing about this season is it's very unpredictable in that sense. Like we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it makes it fun. Like, you're watching and you're like, you don't know what's going to happen next week. Who's going to lead next week? You saw like this week, I think very interestingly is like, what's their names were like very bad this week. Haas.
Oh yeah, true.
Like Haas were shockingly bad this week. And that's kind of like what happened to them. So
Yes. It's weird. Everyone's dropping about, teams, they do well, they come back. You're right. Like we were mentioning McLaren and giving them a lot of praise, but Haas has done the complete opposite just in just as short of amount of time. Well,
yeah, so it'd be
here's
interesting
one
to see
team
kind
that
of
could
what happens as we go on.
here's the next team that we're going to talk about is one that could go either way, to be honest. Like if they gain a bit of time in their car, they could easily dominate the rest of the season. But if they can't fix their problems, they will drown to the rest of the teams. They'll get overtaken by Mercedes, McLaren, whoever it is. Red Bull, another retirement. That's Max with 2 retirements in the first 3 races. It's not great from him. And to be fair, even then, Perez was, before he pitted, he was about to be overtaken by Lewis because of his tires. I think without those safety cars, they might have been tested for that second place. I feel like the Mercedes could have got Perez and taken the podium because he really dropped off. as much as on usual pace in like the middle of the stint, he was comfortably faster than both Mercedes. But by the end of the stint, Lewis caught back up to him, and then he had to pit before he got overtaken. So without the safety car
It could be just
periods,
like
that might have
tire
exaggerated that
degradation.
gap. That's what I'm saying. Like, if they have bad reliability with their engine, and obviously this is track specific, but if in general they have a bit of a problem with tire degradation, because we have seen Max struggle to, like keep up with Charles, who'll like have a go at him, to give it a couple laps, and then his tires will go, and then he has to drop off behind him. So I'm not sure. Like, if they have a bit of a tire deg problem and then a bit of like a engine reliability concerns, Red Bull could end up dropping back if Mercedes find that pace they keep going on about.
I think it reminds me of not last season, the season before, where Red Bull had basically Max was plagued by so many like retirements essentially.
Oh yeah,
That's what I'm kind of reminded of now. I'm like, is this happening again? Are they just gonna lose it all at the end again? Or at the beginning rather, should I say? Yeah.
I mean, I guess the last thing is Mercedes, isn't it? I mean, that's pretty much all that's left. Mercedes were we had both their cars quite close to each other. Lewis and George fed equal on pace. George got kind of lucky with the safety car, ended up jumping Lewis.
Of
But
course, you got lucky with the safety car.
it's
You
fair enough.
always say that, bro.
He did get a bit lucky with the safety. I'm not saying it like a bad thing. Obviously, credit to him.
He
He was
was
keeping
fanboy.
up, and that's why he was close. Am I wrong? That is what I said wrong, though.
No, I'm just listening. I didn't watch the race, so I wouldn't know.
Basically,
I
Lewis
can't
pitted, and then a
kind of
couple
speak
laps later, the safety car came out. So that's how he jumped. George ended up jumping Perez and Lewis, but Perez managed to get past him.
Yeah.
There were things about Lewis's radio at the end. He mentioned something, but they didn't show the rest. Turns out he was just lifting and coasting. Actually, Lewis was running 1.5 kilograms worth of sensors on his floor. So his car,
Seriously?
not George's. Yeah. So Lewis was running 1.5 kilograms worth of sensors on the floor of his car to measure the porpoising for the team. George wasn't, I don't think. And he did all of that just to help them gather data about it so they can try and figure out what's causing the problem. So he ran that whole race with a 1.5 kg heavier car than normal.
Do you wanna tell people kind of how much that would cost over kind of like say a lap? Because people might not know.
So,
Like an
so
extra.
I think it's. Yeah, I think you're about to say what I was going to say in it. Now
No, you go for it. You go for it.
I think the style is an extra kilogram of fuel in the car per lap costs you like what, a tenth or something? Is it a tenth?
Yeah. So over the course of a race distance, you have to think like over the course of a race distance, how much can that cost essentially?
That was 58 laps we did.
Yeah. Come on. Do the maths.
I know you. No, do the maths. No, I thought you were trying to get me into do the predictions. I'm not. You do the maths. Your maths.
No, you do the maths. You're starting predictions this week, by the way. I started last week. You just copied me. We need to go on predictions. I want to know who won.
Okay, yeah, right. Let's do the predictions now. First of all, we'll get onto the fantasy teams. I think because of the time zone difference, both of us just forgot to adjust our teams. So
yeah, I totally did not remember.
I was gonna do mine, and then I also forgot. So it's been a busy week. I don't think there are any changes made. Turns out
usually because of this fantasy stuff, I watch like practice and qualifying. This week I watched nothing, man. I watched zero.
If you want to join, I'll leave the code in the description of audio, YouTube, and the TikTok like normal. Follow us on TikTok. It's funny, I guess. Well, okay. So Youssef, you're at the top.
Such a good job of selling that, yeah.
Youssef, you're on 687. You are, what's that? 81 points ahead of the next person. So like we've got 11 members now. People are joining. We need more desperately. Just so if Youssef does fall into the back of the pack, we need him to drop more positions. So I'm in fourth right now with 506, I'm so far behind you. Last place has 312. So there's a good variation here. Unfortunately, Youssef's still top. So like, please do something about that. And then, we're gonna have to do the predictions. I have a bad feeling about these set of predictions. Do you know what it is? The one time I get rid of science, get rid of Lewis and put science in instead, science retires. That's so tragic, you know. Do you know how sad that is?
Man. It is funny though. It's funny. You're that unlucky.
Okay,
You're that
qualifying.
unlucky,
So
man.
you ready for this? Your qualifying top
Yes.
three was Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz. That's right, but it was Perez in third. I went with Max Verstappen, Carlos. What? Oh no, Charles Leclerc, and then Sergio Perez. So we both got 2 positions out of 3 in that one.
Oh, you got 2 positions out. Oh,
wait.
Damn. I thought.
Oh no, wait, hold on. What? No, we both got
You
one.
got 1 right.
Wait, hold
No,
on.
I got Charles and Max
Oh,
right.
you got 2. Oh. Well then. I didn't realize you got. I thought you got them the wrong way around as well. Wait. Yeah, okay, you're right. So you get that one. The race. Okay, the race results. You went with Charles Max. Charles Max Carlos. I went with Charles Max Carlos as well. Both wrong.
So I win.
It was Charles Perez Russell. So you're
Okay,
still.
who did you go for driver of the day?
We both went with Charles, which is true.
Okay, so I'm still leading by 1 point.
And then retirements, there were. Okay, so you said there would be 4. I said there'll be 3. There were 3.
There were 2 raw.
No, there were 3. It says it right here. There was
2.
Sainz, there was Vettel, and then there was Verstappen.
Oh, damn it. Okay, so it's 2-2. No, did I? Oh, I didn't get it. So it's
We got a point
is
each,
it 2-2?
so it's 2-2. Yeah, it's 2-2.
Wait, we got a point. I was leading. I led from the thingy. So I got 2 points from the qualifying, and then we both got 0 from the race. No, I got 1 point from the race. You got 1 point from the race. So it's 3-2. And then
wait, are you counting points as in number of positions you got right? Because I just said you got qualifying right, well, more right than me.
Okay.
So you got qualifying. Okay. That's 1. Or are you saying I got 2 positions out of 3 right? So
no, because usually I count like how many actually got like right versus how many.
Oh, okay.
And then we total the point.
Right. Okay, I got you. So if you're doing it per position.
Oh, the 3 DNFs. Damn.
Yeah, but if you're saying you did it per position, you got 1 more than me in qualifying.
Yeah, but you got the DNFs I didn't.
Yes.
So it's equal. So
okay,
it's
fine.
still it's still 2-2 overall.
All right, 2-2 overall. Into these predictions for what's the next one? Is it Miami?
Can I just mention the fact that like fantasy, I'm like double your points.
Double? No, hold on a minute. It's not double. Don't exaggerate this now. I don't want to hear these. I don't want to hear these lies. I don't want to hear these lies.
You're like 300 and what is it? 20.
Lies. It's all lies. Scoring rules.
Where are you on?
Where is it?
Come on.
I won 500. Yeah, no, bro. I won 506. You can't do that. Double.
Okay.
Double where?
There's still like 180 between us.
Maybe it might be 100.
It's like a whole race weekend, basically.
That's actually so bad.
You know what you should do is from Monaco, you should put Charles as like double points. Yeah.
Don't even talk to me. Stop that.
No, double points. You should put like the mega driver on Charles at Monaco. Oh, that would be so funny. You just lost your mega driver with, like, can I just mention someone had Norris as their double points in the first race, and Norris got them like 2 points. I just found that's like just like sad, like it's depressingly sad.
See, look, someone enter so you can beat this guy. Look at him. He's shaming people. He's actually shaming people's teams. He's shaming people's teams.
That is sad.
Awful
I feel
behavior.
bad for them. I feel bad
awful
for them.
Behavior.
It's not awful.
Okay.
I just feel bad for
so
them.
am I going first? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Quali top 3. Now this is
Charles
interesting.
Max Perez.
I mean, you've got to go with Charles for pole.
Where are we going next
Kind
week?
of
See, I don't even know where we're going next
It's
week, so
Imola.
I
It's
can't
Imola.
comment.
I'm pretty sure it's Imola.
Oh,
It's the Italian one. Yeah, it's
Charles
Imola.
Max Perez.
Charles, bro. Okay, all right. Charles Max Perez. I'm gonna go with.
No, Charles Max Carlos. Wait, actually, just leave it and you say yours, and then I'll think about it.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Charles, then Carlos, then Max.
I'll go Charles Max Carlos. I'll stick with Carlos.
All right, the race.
He's my guy, you know. I have to support him. The race, you go first.
Should I just say he's gonna retire? What if I just say he's gonna retire again? Nah. Charles. Will Charles actually just win another race in a row? Like, surely he wouldn't, though, would he?
Lewis won like what 9 in a row, so
It was Vettel. Vettel.
Vettel. Oh, apologies.
I'm
Lewis
gonna go
won
with
8 in a row.
Charles Max. I don't. Yeah, I actually just don't know. We'll go with Carlos. I'll play it safe. I think I'll play it safe. What do you reckon?
Charles Max Carlos.
All right.
Same as my qualifying this week.
Oh yeah. Okay. Right. Oh, these are very similar. Oh, I kind of wish that there would be like a. All right. Cool.
DNFs, I'm
Driver
gonna
of the
stick
day.
with 5 because it's
Now
Imola.
do driver of the day first.
Charles. I assumed it was like a given.
Nah. I don't want to go Charles though. Like, surely everyone would get bored of him winning every time. Like, Albon should have got it today.
No. Yeah, that's true.
Ocon
But
finished
that's the thing.
seventh.
See, it's driver of the day is not actually given to the driver who performed the best. It's a popularity contest.
Yeah, pretty much.
Realistically, like it's a popularity contest. Like Albon went from P20 to P10 in a Williams.
Yeah, the
Bruh.
poor kid. I don't know how he's missed out on that. Yeah, you've got to say, if we're saying Charles is winning, I've got to say Charles is going to get it. How many DNFs did you say?
5.
5.
It's Imola.
It's a good number though. It is, to be fair. That's a good choice. I don't even. Let's see. I'm gonna go with. I'll go with 4. I think it'll be less. I think we'll call it there. All right. Do you want to do? Do you want to do the outro?
Yeah, I think if you guys can leave a comment on what you think of this format, what you think we can improve, how's the audio sounding, the quality of the video, all of that stuff, that would be much appreciated. And we will see you guys is it next week or the week after? Week after.
I think it's the week after. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the week after. We'll probably put up a video next week. Keep a lookout for that. But other than that, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you the next episode. I was unsure if it's next week but see you guys next episode. I was gonna say next week again.